Here is another video on biology by Perfect's course. This is Preetinder Kaur, and the topic that we are going to cover in this video is that of ecology. So far we've done lots of videos on biology that include information on biochemistry, the different kinds of cells that we have. So the next topic is ecology. And before we start differentiating between different kinds of ecosystems, there are a few terms that you need to know. So let's get started with those terms. The first term that you need to know is species. Now, species is a group of organisms that can interbreed. So let me put it down over here, a group of organisms that can interbreed and produce viable and fertile offspring. So that is included in the definition of species. The next important word you need to know is habitat. Now, habitat refers to the environment in which a species normally lives or the location of a living organism. The next important word is population. Population is a group of organisms of the same species who live in the same area at the same time. So three important things: same species, living in the same area at the same time. So that refers to population. The next important concept is community. Community refers to a group of populations living and interacting with each other in the same area. So that would be community. The next important thing is ecosystem. The ecosystem refers to a community and its abiotic environment. So all the abiotic factors such as water, land, the other resources that are non-living, that constitutes an ecosystem. And the sum total of everything is ecology, which refers to the study of relationships between living organisms and between living organisms and their environment. So that is the definition of the word ecology. Now there are two kinds of organisms that we are going to discuss, and these two types of organisms are autotrophs and heterotrophs. So the autotrophs refer to those organisms that can synthesize organic molecules from simple or inorganic substances. From simple inorganic substances. These inorganic substances can be carbon dioxide and it can be nitrates. And autotrophs are known as producers because they produce the food. Heterotrophs, on the other hand, refers to an organism that obtains organic molecules from other organisms. As a result, they are known as consumers. The consumer is basically an organism that ingests other organic matter that is living or recently killed. And there are two more kinds of animals or consumers or organisms that you need to know about. One is detritivore. Now, detritivore is an organism that ingests non-living organic matter. And there is one more kind of organism which is a saprotroph. Now, this kind of organism is one that lives on or in non-living organic matter. So let me specify that: lives on or in the non-living organic matter, and it secretes digestive enzymes into it and absorbs the products of digestion. So that is how these saprotrophs they survive. The next important thing that you need to know about ecology and the ecosystem is a concept known as a food chain. Now, food chain shows the linear feeding relationships between species in a community. So, linear feeding relationships between different species of a community. The arrows they show the transfer of energy and matter as one organism is eaten by another. So basically the first organism is usually the producer and that is consumed by the different consumers. So let's call it the first degree consumer. The first degree consumer would be consumed by a second degree consumer. That will be consumed by a third degree consumer and so on. And this arrow represents the transfer of energy and matter and the point in the direction of the energy flow. So I'm going to give you three examples of this food chain in three different areas. The first one is a grassland area known as a grassland biome, then a pond biome and an ocean biome. So let's suppose in grassland biome the producer is a grass. So let's take example of a grass that is buffalo grass. So the buffalo grass would be eaten by a grasshopper that becomes the first degree consumer. This grasshopper will then be eaten by a rat, which is the second degree consumer, and this is going to be eaten by a snake. So that becomes the third degree consumer. Similarly, coming to the pond biome, the producer is going to be a green algae. The green algae will be eaten by, let's take the example of a mosquito, the tiger mosquito. This tiger mosquito will be eaten by a dragonfly, and this dragonfly will be eaten by a horned frog. So that's example of a pond biome. What happens in an ocean? So the producers are phytoplanktons. The phytoplankton will be eaten by another organism that is going to be a zooplankton. Zooplanktons, remember, they are consumers, not producers. The zooplankton, let's say they are eaten by a sardine fish, and this fish is further eaten by a tuna fish. So that completes the food chain in an ocean biome. And after a combination of lots of food chains, the result that you get is known as a food web. Now, food web is a diagram that shows how food chains are linked together. So it shows the linking of different food chains and more complex feeding relationships arise within a community. Now there can be more than one producer in a food web and consumers they can occupy various different levels. For example, it can be a 1 degree consumer for one food chain but a second degree consumer for the second food chain. So we'll be discussing more about the different levels in the next video. So the main topic for the next video is going to be the trophic levels. So this is all that we'll be covering in this video. This is a very basic informative video about what is ecology, what is ecosystem, what is a consumer, what is a producer. So thank you so much for watching this video and don't forget to visit us at perfect-scores.com to like and share us at Facebook and to send your valuable suggestions and feedback at this email address. Thank you so much again for watching this video.